Hey, it's the right Regan. And hey, today I'm going to touch on a couple of different things. I'm going to start with our press secretary, Jen Psaki. And, I laugh um, when Democrats, when Trump was in office and he had these different female press secretaries, and they made such a big deal. They would, comment about their looks and all that. They would call them liars and I go, it's the press secretary's job to spin everything. Doesn't matter what, doesn't matter which side is in office. It doesn't matter which political party is in office. They're, the job of the press secretary is to spin. That's what they do. They're BS artists. Plain and simple. Uh, but this is one of the most this is going to be one of the most egregious ones I've seen in my lifetime is Jen Psaki trying to spin what another Democrat said. It goes, Jen Psaki says it's Republicans who voted to defund police. And um, I mean, what she says, I don't want to play the video. I'm just going to read the commentary. She goes here because they asked her a question about when goes here. Ducey quoted Richmond saying defunding the police by not supporting the American Rescue Plan. Look, listen, this is what the Democrats do. And, you know, um, what they'll do is they'll throw, let's say, they'll throw their, they'll throw stuff that Republicans want into a bill and throw in the poison pills of stuff that they know damn well that the Republicans won't vote for. So let's say they'll throw in a police funding bill and then into a bill and then also tie it into, let's say, Planned Parenthood funding, knowing damn well the Republicans aren't gonna agree with that. But that's what they do. That's what the that's what the Democrats do when they're in power. This is how they're emboldened. They'll do this stuff, and the media. The problem is, if we had a fair media, they would call out both parties. You saw during the Trump administration, you saw how they would push back against every left wing media organization was pushing back against the Trump administration, but now that it's the Biden administration, is crickets from them. It's just, oh, whatever your press release is, oh, that's good enough. You guys are honest. We could trust you. You're our people, and that's how it works. And it shouldn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. The president, uh, every administration should be hit hard by the media. They shouldn't be no buddy buddy with the media. You know, uh they would complain about what happened, when Trump was in office and complain about his cushy relationship with like Fox News, OANN, and Newsmax, you know, but this is what the media gives you. This is why Trump went to these organizations, because of the fact that um look at the way these organizations are treating the Biden administration. Like they don't lie, they don't do no wrong, and that's the problem with the coverage. You see it all the time. But hey, it's been like this my whole life. I don't expect it to change. Um, what's you want to see, um, let's say, honest, biased commentary and about what's going on. That's what YouTube has turned into. That's what Rumble's turned into, because BitChute or whatever, all these alternative video platforms, it's because the fact that people like me are tired of hearing the BS on the news, and we want to call it out. That's why the media, is it the trust in media? It's at an all-time low, because the way they don't see that they're biased. You have CNN, the most trusted name in news, and they don't see that's the problem. The problem would be if you have someone like Don Lemon that says, "Oh, he's not biased. It's just he reports the news from his perspective." Yes, it's called your bias. But anyways, let me just keep going because I could always go on the media. I just saw some surveys that I wanted to touch about, and it goes here crazy. Um, San Francisco residents consider relocating as crime worsens quality of life and quality of life in a decline. And it goes here. It found that 40% say they plan to move out of the city in the next few years. And that's crazy when almost half of your population wants to leave because the crime and your quality of life is in such a decline. Um, and what's going to happen is what you're going to see is the people that could afford to leave are going to leave. And don't be surprised. The problem is what happens with these people is they'll go to let's say Texas, they'll go to Arizona, they'll go to Nevada, and they'll go to some of them go Florida. And what happens? So you got all these lefties from San Francisco. They don't like what's going on in San Francisco, but then they'll go to all these other red states and turn them purple or try to turn them blue when it's like you left a state because your policies don't the politics that you support don't work, and then you're trying to push back on states that you moved to that obviously they're doing something right if you move to their states. But that's what goes on. You don't there's the cognitive dissonance that you see in these people when they move to these states and they're trying to turn it into the states that they left. Like I didn't understand that when I lived in Texas. I knew when I moved to Texas for a reason. And when I saw these people coming, I made friends from California and other states and from blue states, and they're coming in and oh yeah, we're gonna vote for you know um, Wendy Davis for governor. I'm like, are you serious? She's what? Were you voting for the female Gavin Newsom? But yeah, so they would do stuff like this, and you go, wait a minute, what are you guys doing? Why are you doing that for? Why are you trying to make this state worse by making it like the state that you left? But you can't tell people that, and they don't want to hear it. And the sign that they don't want to hear it, here's another survey. 57% of Republicans say the pandemic is now over, while just 4% of Democrats agree. So it means 57% of Republicans, more than half, believe the pandemic is now over, while only 4% of Democrats think it's over. you know, and this is the whole thing. Are there still going to be cases of COVID? Of course. No, when some of us say it's over, it's just the fact that that scary part that we had last year, well, we didn't understand this virus. That was the part that was scary, and whether we're going to move on. But we can move on from that now. Either because you get immunity two ways. Where I'm not a doctor, don't take advice from me, but you could read it for yourself. There's two ways you get immunity: vaccination or natural infection. Okay, so either you get a vaccine and that's your immunity, or you actually get the virus and you build up an immunity to it because your body builds an immune response and you get natural antibodies. I mean, I remember reading somewhere where what was it? An old woman from she still had antibodies present in her body from the 1918 flu. 100 years later. So you have to, uh, you know, the media wants to feed you fear because fear uh, allows you to be manipulated into whatever agenda they see fit. Last year, the agenda was we want to get rid of Trump. We're going to sell you fear, so you could vote for Biden. Now they want to sell you fear so you could go along with Biden's policies. Last year was fear, so do whatever Trump, the opposite of whatever Trump wanted to do. But meanwhile, how many stories have been proven false? If you want to see it, I'll put a link in the description to my story about the was it the conspiracy fact, where conspiracy theories from last year that became fact this year. So I'll put that put that link in my description. So, but people, we need to um, we have a better understanding of this virus. We have better treatments, even though treatments were withheld from us last year. But now we have those treatments among others. So are we going to be ever completely rid of it? Probably not. It'll probably always be with us in some form or of another. But we don't have to have the same fear of it as we did last year. But like I said, fear sells, and fear sells an agenda. It's been proven throughout human history it sells. So, um, last thing, because like I said, where you see there's a great divide between Republicans and Democrats here. You see these people wanting to move out because of uh, increase in crime and quality of life, and then they're moving to red states. But then here you have California banned state-funded travel to 5 more states over LGBT laws. Here's the thing: just because you're pro-woman doesn't mean you're anti-trans. It's like um, I'm, I'm not pro-abortion, um, but I'm not anti. That doesn't make me anti-abortion. I'm not one of these people on the right that say, "Oh, completely ban abortion." I go, I give you 12 weeks. That's I have my limit. That's it. But this whole abortion till 9 months to me is sick, especially since my son was born at 6 months, 24 weeks. So when I say 12 weeks, is literally half the time my son was in the womb. So that just because I'm against just because I'm against abortion up to 12 months doesn't make up to 12 weeks doesn't make me anti-abortion. I'm just anti-abortion up to birth. You have 3 months to make a choice. And even then I go, okay, if you have a legitimate health concern, you could still. So no, same thing goes here. Just because a bill is, let's say, protecting women, because at the end of the day, I'm a male. Okay. If I go and say tomorrow, I decide to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to identify as female and I'm going to go compete in, let's say, weightlifting competition. I have 42 years of being a male. I have, bone structure, muscle density, uh, and I still have what's between my legs. So if I go and even though I identify as a woman, I still biologically am a man, and I will outperform. I will outperform most women when it comes to lifting. It's just a biological fact. You can't change that. No matter how much no matter how much, plastic surgery I would get to make myself look like a woman, I biologically will still be a male. And to compete against a woman would be unfair. Plain and simple. So that doesn't make me anti-trans because look, at the end of the day, I go, if you're an adult and you want to you want to go and chop it off and get the plastic surgery, you don't want to chop it off, or you're a woman and you want to get rid of your breast, or you want to bind them, you want to, get it constructed for you, do you. Do you. I'm fine with that. Don't, you know, just leave the children alone and leave the spaces alone. You know, um, leave these athletic spaces alone. You want to form your own league or something like that, do that. But it's not fair just because your identity, you want to identify as that gender or sex, whichever term you want to use, doesn't mean that biologically your hormones, your bone density, your muscle, I mean your bone structure, your muscle density, those things don't change just because you say I feel like a woman. You may feel like a woman, but your inside still say male. And I feel for people that that have this condition, but I want to protect my daughter. I want my daughter to be able to compete against other females, not people who feel like females. I want her to be able to compete with actual biological females, people with XX chromosomes, not XY chromosomes, who feel like they're women, because it won't be fair to her, it's not fair to others. So that is not anti-LGBT. And here's California coming and saying it's, these anti-LGBT laws, and they won't allow, let's say, UCLA or USC. Let's say USC wants to go play um, North Carolina, or they want to go play Alabama, or they want to go play Florida State or Miami, whatever. If any of these California public schools want to go play some of these SEC schools, they're gonna have to. They can't use state money to travel there. It's ridiculous. All this is gonna do is create such division that we're gonna get to the point where right now, the culture war is basically a civil war, and we're fighting for which side is going to win the hearts and minds of the country. Now, here's the difference. The difference is when it comes to the right side, the side I lean on, you could still do you. You could still go and, you could still go out and you want to go, like I said, you're an adult, you want to go and be uh, transgender, go right ahead. You want to go smoke weed, go smoke weed. Do you. Just don't push that stuff on me. But what's going to happen is with the left, when it comes to them, it's if you don't believe like they do, you're a bigot, you're a transphobe, you're a homophobe, you're phobic. Nobody's a phobe. You got gay conservative, bisexual conservatives. You got, just as in regular society, the right has people that are gay, transgender, straight. You got atheist people who lean on the right. You got religious people who lean on the right. Same thing on the left. But the problem is, if the left wins, if you want to see a good example of what goes on, what's going to go on if the left wins, look at Canada and look at the nonsense that's going on in Canada. And when people go, oh, well, Trump was a dictator. Look, if Trump was a dictator that you people painted him out to be, he would be Trudeau. Look what Trudeau's doing in Canada. If you want to see what someone who took advantage of the COVID situation and got emergency powers is doing. It's a great example if you want to see what's going on. But I'm going to leave it there because once again, it is super hot today, and I am going to take my kids to the pool because it is just too hot. It is too hot to be in the house. So I hope you guys keep cool, be safe, and have a good one.